Namo Himalaya, everyone. Spirit wants you to be able to recognize the difference between energies because many of you are embarking on a new journey in the world, whether you are an earth angel, a light worker, an activist, a healer, a musician, a part of the 144, and you have a large legion of spiritual guides, including those from the cosmos, those from the heavens, to assist you on your journey. And Spirit was being very adamant about me getting on and sharing more videos about how to recognize them to help make your life easier. And as someone who communicates very frequently with many different energies and have been for a really long time, I want to make sure that you can do it safely. So today is, and it's going to be a brief video, but I wanted to talk about communicating or recognizing communication from angels, archangels, but more specifically the Seraphim, well, archangels and Seraphim. And for anybody who's new, so an archangel can be a seraphim, but not every angel can be a seraphim. And the Seraphim are very high-ranking angels that are usually in protection of heaven and have very specific roles. One of them in particular, many of you obviously would recognize by their name, Archangel Michael. So Michael is a really beautiful energy, an angel to work with because he doesn't really work for anybody, or they don't really work for anybody. They're not really considered he and she, but they don't work for anybody other than heaven. So they're not attached to anything, like they're for protection and for the safety of humanity. And so if you call to Archangel Michael and you have good intentions, Michael will usually always show. And depending on your purpose, Michael will always be there to protect you, even if you don't ask him to. And most importantly, while you are out on your journey, there's two really big ways that angels will communicate. And the first one, you see a lot of readers on YouTube talk about how they can feel their presence, you know, they're getting their name, those sorts of things. And then you have the archangel communication that will come in physical form in your 3D, which is kind of jarring, very powerful, and in short bursts. And that was something that Spirit wanted to focus on more in particular because it can feel a bit scary when you do experience it for the first time. And angels will stay and communicate a little bit longer than an archangel, or like an archangel that is a seraphim, because the seraphim's energy is just massive and most people who try to channel them can't contain their energy. So when you're working with let's say like angels that are not quite archangels but angels, they will usually come through as people and have a really sweet aura about them. They won't usually feel very protective, but they will feel familiar to you. They will feel like family, but they will look different. Like a lot of the angels will come disguised as people who you usually end up helping. Like that's a real thing. And you don't really know it's them until you engage with them and have a conversation, and then you realize the way they are speaking, they're usually sharing things that this person shouldn't know and are there to send you a message. This happened to me a lot when I was traveling around, and it happened a ton actually when I was giving out food, and I would feel their presence a lot more than usual. Like sometimes you have people who are homeless are houseless and you will give food to them, you know, you feel a call to go towards them. At least I do. 144 should. If you're an earth angel, you're called to help everybody on the street, and you just have a pull towards them because you protect humanity. But the ones who are there to actually deliver a message, even if you don't know what it is, their energy calls to you differently. It's almost becomes like a repetitive flow of energy that you can't let go until you get there, until you get to that person. And usually every time that I would get there, again, they would share something of significance. But what I found is they would actually start praying over you. And it was almost like they were there to help you with something but wouldn't say what. Or they may be in random places like while you're out shopping, and they'll be like overly kind to you, but not in the human way. Like it's really hard to explain, and sometimes they don't always remember saying what they said to you, but that happens more so with the archangels. Like when you interact with an archangel that is in someone's body, it's their energy is so big, and then there's seraphim energy, that the person will seem really weird, or they like are, it's like a stream of consciousness is coming out of their mouth, and they'll just ask you things and tell you things that are so relevant to what you need to know on your path, that it's almost like they're giving you an energetic map for you to use in the 3D, and that's how you kind of know where you need to go. And it'll be freaky stuff. Like I would just be sitting there, and there was one time I was like, I don't know where we need to stay in Washington, and I don't know like all these things. And I was like, Spirit, can you help me out? And then like someone walks by and they just make eye contact with you in a way that's like not normal. You'll feel it. And it, like, if you read energy, and depending on how you decipher energy, for myself, sometimes energy like makes sounds, like I can hear the sound of energy, and that's how I begin to recognize what it is, aside from like being able to see or being able to hear. The way archangels speak and the way their energy comes through people, it has like a whispery kind of sound to it. And so I like knew that this person was important, and they literally were like, have you ever been to Washington? I was like, nope. And then just sat there and kind of wrote all the information down. And they're very direct. Like when archangels talk, they're very direct. They want you to listen. And so they're going to use like short, brief sentences, so that you can remember. So anytime that happens, pull out your phone, pull out a notebook, and start taking notes, because it's all going to be important. Don't just sit there and be like, like in the beginning, you'll probably feel like that, or your like mind will kind of explode, because it's like, I don't really know what's going on. Why is this person acting so weird? Why do they know everything about me? And it's because it's usually an archangel that's talking to you. And you'll likely feel their presence. You'll likely feel the presence of the archangel before it somehow inhabits a body. And then usually that person will leave, disappear, or like if you see them the next day, they're not going to know what the hell you're talking about. And that's how I figured that out. It happened every single time. They're like, I didn't tell you that. Nice. Like, good thing I was always there with another person, because they saw it too, and I was like, if I was by myself, I would definitely feel crazy. And the seraphim are very different. The seraphim, I feel like, come in the scariest of ways if your ego is trying to explain it, because I feel like they don't know as well how to inhabit bodies, or get your attention without like blasting energy. Like, because the seraphim are also made of fire, and they're like heavily protective, when they come down to this realm, it's like like when they're around, like it's the weirdest thing. And a good example of this was, I was standing at a counter, and I was contemplating cutting someone out of my life, and then the person, they were like really sweet, like quiet person, didn't even realize they were like listening to anything, and then they like slam their hand on the counter and they look at me and they're like, cut them, like really loud, and they kind of like shook their heads and they're like, sorry, I don't know why I said that. And then I could hear the whispers. I could hear the whispers, and it was Michael. And so I was like, okay, got it, understood, just gonna delete it right now. And that happened a few times when I was on the road and like buying crystals, and I needed a very specific stone when I was in Miami, and I was like, show me where, and they led me to this market, and I looked at the person, and they this is also what'll happen. They'll tell you what you need before you know you need it. And usually you just buy it, right? And so they were like, you need this, it's like this specific stone, it's for Archangel such and such. But earlier that day I was communicating with a different angel, and then I was like, oh, so you mean Michael, I think I had said, or something like that. And then they did the same thing that other person did in the store, and they like whipped around and they were like, no, Raphael. And I was like, cool. And it just was interesting. And I will say, like, sometimes Archangel energy looks really similar to Seraphim energy, and at the end of the day, like, it's all just a really beautiful experience for you to live through in general. But clearly this message was to tell you to like not be afraid of it, and just know that weird things will start to happen in your 3D. And I know because it happened to me like almost every single day, and it still happens to me, and I had to learn to not be scared of it, because they were always there to help, and they were always there in the nick of time. And you'll get used to feeling their energy, because it's very, very different. And I will make some more videos, because if you are surrounded by archangels and seraphim, your divine interventions are going to be very different than anybody else's. You're not going to have the same, like, oh, like I have a few things that are blocked. Like, no. They will literally come and like rain hellfire to redirect you in a different place, and they'll be very serious about it. So if you work with seraphim, or you feel their presence, I highly recommend that you respect it, and just know that it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to experience it, and not many people get that chance. And just say that you are gratitude, say thank you, say your prayers if you pray, and just continue about your path. And honestly, if you know, if it does make you nervous, work on meditating, and you know, come to some of the group sessions if you are experiencing it, so we can talk about it. We had a very open conversation recently about many people feeling a little bit crazy because there like is no veil, and a lot of stuff is getting weird. And if you have a really high frequency right now and a very bright light, you will see things happening all of the time. And so I just want to know, or I just want you to know, that you are not alone, and there's other people who are also experiencing it. But I'm going to do my best to share what I can, and I'm still working on the ancestor videos. I honestly, if spirit tells me pause, share this message, then I pause and share that message. So if you're on this page, like, and I say that something's coming and then it takes a little bit longer, that's why. Because I follow the messages that need to be shared during that specific time. So have fun. If you're seeing this video, it likely means you're going to be receiving communication, or you need to know about it at some point, or you may know someone who is experiencing it and you can like share this with them. But I know I create these for a reason. So I'm sending you all lots of love, lots of hugs. Again, please do ask questions. You can check the description below if you want to join any of my classes. Check out my music if you want to work one-on-one, whatever it is. I am here to support you. The angels are here to support you. Your guides and ancestors are here to support you. And again, I'm sending you lots of love. Namo Himalaya, and I will talk to you soon.